hat on.
Oh my goodness, he needs. Wow, where's the Florida hat?
And it's in honor of Frank and the fact that my Gators aren't going to make it past the second round. So I couldn't find my green hat this morning, so I picked up my Tar Heel hat.
Yeah, we get, if we beat Wisconsin, we get Baylor, which
is not really a great prize.
No.
Other than advancing.
Yeah, so while my heart is always with the Tar Heels, my head says that's going to be an uphill climb.
Mm-hmm.
I picked Gonzaga and Illinois in the final.
This year, anything could happen. I mean, doing brackets is always a best guess, but this go round, you never know when a team is going to have a COVID test and suddenly get pulled out, like Virginia or Duke or so. But oh, wait a minute, Duke won't get.
That's true. They won't.
Oh, Frank.
They'll probably have COVID tests aplenty, though.
No, Frank
Nicely
Petty
done,
Pollock.
Frank.
Good God.
It's not.
Hey, George, can you make me co-host, please?
Oh, sorry. I shall. You had forgotten something.
The big question regarding Duke was the walk-on Krzyzewski's grandson.
All right, on that note, since we are a Durham-based community, we will stop trashing Duke at the moment. Not that I'm a fan, just saying.
No, we won't.
But they are an important member of our community here in the RTP chapter of 1 Million Cups. So welcome, top of the morning to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Glad you guys could be here this morning at 1 Million Cups in RTP. Want to just introduce to some of you that are here for the first time what the concept is behind 1 Million Cups. 1 Million Cups is a free national program that's designed to educate, engage, and connect entrepreneurs. There are over 161 Million Cups communities across the country, and 1 Million Cups is the local entrepreneurial ecosystem building arm of the Kauffman Foundation. The Kauffman Foundation is a $4 billion endowment for the promotion of economic development through entrepreneurship, and we are essentially their boots on the ground in the local communities. We're a supportive, neutral space that is industry agnostic, and this is not a pitch environment. What we mean by that is that our presenters are not going to be selling to the people in this community, in this room during this meeting. The format is that we have 1 to 2 presenters give 6-minute presentations, followed by 20 minutes of Q&A from the audience. Now, the way we've been doing this in the virtual environment is we split people into breakout groups according to the asks for our presenter, and the breakout groups will brainstorm some good questions for the presenter, and then we'll go around the room a couple of times with those. And the biggest thing that we're trying to figure out here is what can we as a community do to help our presenters answer those questions and help build their business. We would like for everybody to be able to get involved with our chapter of 1 Million Cups, and there's several ways that you can do that. The first is that you can become an organizer, which means that you help connect and build our startup community by becoming a member of our organizing team. And if you want to know more about what it takes to be a member of the organizing team and what you could do to help, please get in contact with myself, George, Terry, Frank, Jenny, any of our community organizers here. We'd be glad to point you in the right direction. Another thing you can do is you can apply to present. So if you have a company that you think would benefit from presenting at 1 Million Cups, simply submit your application to www.1millioncups.com/RTP. And right at the top of the website, there's a little button that says apply to present. Just click that button, answer a couple of questions, and Tracy, our intake coordinator, will get in contact with you to walk you through the rest of the application process. If you don't have a company, but you know somebody who does, or somebody who you think could benefit from being here at 1 Million Cups, please refer them to us. We'd love to talk with them, see if 1 Million Cups, presenting 1 Million Cups would be a good idea for them, and invite them to a meeting. Let them know that we're here to help. You know, people can't get the help if they don't know where to get it. So please tell them we're here. And then last but not least, do what you're doing today, which is attend and give feedback to our presenters. I want to thank our community organizers, Tracy Ames, who I mentioned before, Frank Pollock, Rosalinda Cruz. Rosalinda, appreciate those videos you've been putting out. Very good. Myself, we've got Terry Conlon, George Stewart, our past lead organizer, Krista Johnson Sotomayor, and Jenny Mitchley. Our community sponsors are Muddy Dog Roasting Company, the Global Training Initiative at NC State, NC IDEA, American Underground, Imperative Product Operations, Soto IP, and New York Life. So today, I want to welcome back a returning presenter, Jim Boyte from Active Defender, and I'm very interested to see what kinds of changes he's made since probably over a year ago now that he was at 1 Million Cups live in person. Yes, we used to do that prior to COVID, and see where he's at today. So Jim, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let you take it away.
Let's see if I can share again. Share, there it is. How about that? Can you see it? It's good.
You're good. I see you.
Good. Let me get back there. All right. Good morning. And I guess we'll hit the clock. I'll see what we can do right here. Right. So I have seen far too much death. To me, saving lives, it's not a job or a business. It's a calling. And while working at the U.S. Army Special Ops Command, I devoted much of my downtime to helping local schools with their safety protocols. But this pivotal moment came when I realized that with all our increased technology and our increased budgets, we still hadn't made a dent in the death toll. Did you know that this past decade has recorded the highest number of U.S. deaths attributed to active shooters? Yes, we have cameras and they're everywhere, but only a few people can view them. There are door locks and they've been upgraded, but they only protect the ones lucky enough to lock themselves away. There's alert buttons and alert apps, and they make it much faster for staff members to notify first responders. But none of these solutions, none of them, have made any significant impact in reducing the number of people that die between the time an alarm sounds and the time that responders arrive. See, after an emergency ensues, the darkness, if you can imagine it, darkness of not knowing exactly where the threat is, it brings chaos and fear to people that find themselves in insecure locations. They know something is wrong. They want to get to safety, but they don't know which way to go. Will they be moving away from the threat or potentially moving the wrong way? Hi, I'm Jim. I'm the CEO and the founder of Active Defender. Now, Active Defender is this geospatial proprietary system. Really, it's just a map in the palm of your hand that allows everyone with some great technology to send and receive alerts. And whether it's a fire, a natural disaster, or an active shooter, that alert goes out to everyone in real time. And immediately everyone sees where the threat location is. And now they're empowered to know which way to go so that they can get to safety and so that they can save their lives and the lives of others. And we know Active Defender can benefit manufacturing plants, warehouses, hospitals, and more. But our sales team is focused particularly on the 297,000 K-12 schools that reflect a $3.2 billion a year spend in safety alone. Our team built the first MVP in late 2018, and we're moving now as we've grown across 6 states with 78 accounts. We offer a yearly enterprise subscription that's based upon the number of staff at a campus. Joining me in making this a reality, this is Chris Maxwell. Chris is a 27-year veteran as a security specialist with Booz Allen and the DoD. John Perguson brought over a decade of experience to our team as a subject matter expert in security protocol and software development. As for myself, this is my second startup, but for the last 25 years, I've been creating code to solve problems specializing in artificial intelligence and situational awareness. Now, these combined skills have allowed us to put Active Defender in the hands of campuses and places where it's really needed. And we're raising $1.2 million to build out our sales team, to expand on our existing sales process, and getting us to $2 million in annual recurring revenue while capturing 1,250 of the private and charter schools. After this, we see that we'll be moving either to a Series A or a likely merger with the likes of Honeywell or ADT. See, we all want to keep our children safe, but unfortunately, kids are still dying. It doesn't have to be this way. Active Defender saves lives. Now, I want to thank 1 Million Cups RTP for having me today. And I'd like to ask your help with these 3 things. Potential introductions to schools or maybe even manufacturing plants or warehouses. We're in some of those also. Also, ideas and thoughts about strategic partnerships that might be ideal for Active Defender. And any advice you can give us regarding best practices for business-to-business referral marketing. Thank you for your wisdom and your willingness to share.
Hey, thank you, Jim.
Absolutely.
Nicely done. So as Dominic said, we are going to go to breakout rooms, and breakout rooms are going to be as follows. So group number 1, breakout room number 1 is going to cover introductions. Group number 2 is going to brainstorm about strategic partnerships. Group number 3 about referral marketing practices. And finally, group number 4 is the wild idea, whatever you come up with group. The names are here. You'll see briefly flashed on your screen the name and number of the group. You've got 5 minutes, and we will see you back here in 5 minutes.
Can I go to room 2 instead, please?
Yep. I got to find you. What room are you in?
Hey, Jim. I was in room 4.
Where are you? Where are you? There you are. Oops.
Catherine,
I like
honestly, I love your smile, by the way. You have such
Oh,
a
thank you.
enlightening, beautiful smile.
There she goes. So you and I are here for the next 5 minutes, Jim.
Good. What advice do you have for me? What?
Oh, I'm not giving advice.
Oh, now
We've got a whole bunch of smarter people than me to give you advice in about 5 minutes. So just for those of you who are watching us on Facebook Live right now, if you have a question for Jim or a suggestion, by all means, put it in the chat and we will cover those when we come back in 5 minutes to the overall Q&A. So don't hesitate if you're watching us live on Facebook. If you're watching this recorded on Facebook, you can fast forward for 4 minutes. So Jim, I'm curious, you were here as we all know a year ago. What's the biggest thing that's changed in your business in the past year?
Yeah, we've grown. As far as the people we were supporting a year ago, we had a few paying customers. Now, you know, we've really grown. We have learned to do online training. which was kind of a piece that, and that really helps us in scaling. And then we really have had to learn how to build out our scaling we have a map system. You remember that map in the palm of your hand? So we actually learned to tie into college students to where they help us with that. And it's been a win-win. That may be too long of an answer, but.
Oh, no, that's fine. We're just passing the time. So there's no time limit here. No, that's cool. So is it just the two of you still, or do you have a staff?
No, we have a staff. We just hired another salesperson, and my development team, only one of them is really full-time. And then we have two other really incredible people that I cannot afford, but they work part-time and help that way. And then in terms of our staff, we have our COO is Chris, but he's still with Booz Allen. We're hoping to bring him in full-time. And we have two people doing sales now. So how are your sales team coping with the pandemic and all the restrictions around that? You know, that's a great question. COVID crushed our industry. It crushed
a lot of industries.
Yeah. So if you were safety as a whole, it didn't crush, but it crushed on-site security because so many people are working.
Nobody was on site anymore.
Right. So many teachers and the pieces like that. So it forced us to really look at the private and charter schools and focus on them, because a lot of them were still meeting in person when the public schools were not. And they actually have a year-round buying window. So it kind of helped us refocus that way. And then in regard to that, it changed the way we're able to probably get in touch with people. So our referral marketing began to plummet some the way it was, and we learned to do cold calls. But once you got a demo, we got a sale.
Oh, that's cool. So it actually, you were pretty good at converting demos to sales then, or you have been.
That part of our business, yeah, that's really high. Getting people through that first step at the top of the funnel, because George, they think they've seen everything in security. And it's almost like a paradigm shift in what we're offering. And so I think people got bombarded after COVID with all kinds of calls and things. And let me show you this piece that we can help you with, clean up, and your teacher's teaching, and the essence of that. It was really difficult to find a way to actually get through to get a demo.
To get the demo, yeah. To give the demo.
And then we found some things that we think work, where we get really good qualified leads. And we've narrowed down to really, at this point in time, focused on the charter and the private schools. But we are really anticipating the public schools coming up. Their buying season starts, and I think a lot of people are looking at in the fall they're going to be running, but their budgets hit in July. So we've got a big mail campaign getting ready to go out to them, and in a setup that
So what's your biggest challenge right now? Like I've heard lots of success. You had some ask, but what's your biggest challenge? What keeps you up at night?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is probably, what if one of the competitors that had really, really deep pockets, came in and they had a better marketing, a better thing. Right now, our technology is light years ahead, but I'm sure somebody with a deep enough pockets could get in, and we really want to get our momentum.
Gotcha. Hey, everybody's coming back, so we're going to go to our full table, our full room Q&A session. We're going to start with group number 1. Welcome back, everyone. So this is the introductions group. Alan, Brett, Daniel, Greg, Mark, Monique, and Trevor. What have you guys got for Jim?
Well, I think I was trying to scribble as everybody was talking, so I'll offer just a little bit. So we've got more to share later, right, George? You want a couple rounds?
We'll go around a couple of times.
Okay. So Jim, good presentation. Thanks for getting our minds going here. Maybe a couple that aren't on the top of your list. We wondered whether in the public schools, whether the local resource officers in the school If you could find out who some of those are, you could at least maybe have that warm, friendly cup of coffee, whether it be virtual or in person, just to find out a number of things about not only, how they approach it, but also you might find out whether there's any competitors currently at work in your school, in that school system. And also, obviously, then you'd find out about local law enforcement approach or thoughts about where they want to go in terms of, obviously, a local school system, they wouldn't do it on a school basis. They do it on a system-wide basis. So, and last thing, and this is all having to do with local schools, is another potential in could be to talk with folks in the PTAs.
George, I appreciate it. I wrote every one of them down. Thank you.
Cup of coffee. All right. All right. So let's ask room number 2. So this is the room on strategic partnerships. So Catherine, Morgan, Rosalinda, Terry, the Blue Water Group, and Wayne.
Hey, Jim. So the Strategic Partnerships Group brainstormed some ideas for you. So in terms of potential co-marketing opportunities, you could talk to other organizations that sell into schools, especially with a safety orientation. So something like an AED company or other North Carolina startups like Dude Solutions. They're a SaaS provider for operations management, and they started out selling into schools and now have expanded into other verticals. And you could also talk to whoever the active shooter trainers are for schools right now. Probably that's a network that you're already are familiar with, and see if they could potentially be selling this for you. And also, since you're interested in a potential acquisition in the future by Honeywell or ATT, you could start developing that relationship now, and maybe they could start selling it for you. And you could also talk to your customers to see what other vendors they have. And based on that, maybe they could give you some friendly introductions to those vendors because they could sell it for you maybe. And there was also a discussion of maybe the NRA might be interested.
Never thought about the NRA, but I guess they do have an interest in things like that. It's great. Thank you so much. So.
Cool, thank you. All right, so let's go to room number 3, referral marketing practices or best practices for referral marketing. So this is Brittany, Cindy, Jenny, and Tracy.
Jenny, you're muted.
Well, Brittany's going to be the one talking, so I should be muted.
I think I'll summarize. I think Frank made a really good point that a referral program is going to be very different based on whether you're public or private. So private sector, I work in that right now a lot more. Often what we do is actually a client referral process, so more inbound cold calling efforts from the sales team leading to basically a part of our method is the referral process. And then if that were to, it depends on what you like, but often, that's sometimes stronger than actually just having that direct referral, because sometimes clients, if you don't have a good business development manager, are often a little wary to put out their information or their friends of friends information. So on the private side, definitely a discount to incentivize. On the public side, I used to work for the government sector and used to be a vendor for them. And the easiest way to get into the public side is actually to work through the state of North Carolina for a subsection vendor agreement like a 983B, which will allow you access to all of the state schools, usually with the offerance of a discount. And that way, it's a very simple cold call discussion with a principal or leadership saying, this is our agreement, whether it's 983B or subsection 721A. kind of know the verbiage on that for safety requirements. And we'd like to come in and show you what we can offer your school. And usually those are very warm calls because you're already associated. But the big struggle, the climb up the hill, is getting the state involved and getting kind of you written into their state agreements.
Let me unmute.
You writing all those down, Jim?
I am. Oh yeah. No, I take a lot of notes and I write, it looks like shorthand. So the 983B and the subsection 721A, in regard to that, who can I find as a mentor or a person I can hire that could help guide me a little bit in that process? Is that something you or your firm where you are now could help us with that?
So I can ask my CEO. We did at one point, because we're an IT support firm. So we did used to work with like the Department of Highway Safety and a variance of things. And then we kind of moved away from government work, mainly because they wouldn't let us be fully comprehensive as a partner. But I would say that the easiest steps, actually, because everyone's a little different. So for example, 938B is a subsection for uniforming and safety apparel, and 1271A is for first aid and safety. So you don't really fall into either of those categories. What you probably want to do is the Raleigh Capital. Everything for the government is online, which is really cool. So you can literally search what organization you need to reach out to, the key founder or the key, VP of that organization. You can directly email them and they'll give you the resources to bring you through that and the steps. That's probably, sadly, the best way to go, because since every individual vendor is different, they have different requirements for each vendor.
Perfect.
What about a state senator or state rep from Jim's local area where the business is based? Could they do any introductions to the state government?
Oh, yes, absolutely. From that perspective, any state official, I've reached out to the Department of Highway Safety, which is 95,000 employees strong. And I had the meeting with the VP just because I mentioned that contract agreement. So they're very willing to connect with people. I actually don't think that the government is the hardest place to get a meeting or to get agreement. It's actually just to get the thing finalized. But a senator will only actually be able to kind of make the introduction, which a cold email could. If you find that unsuccessful, a local representative will obviously give impact. But the real thing is actually just going through the process.
Thank you. I just started a process like that with something called CIBR with the Air Force.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you. Hey, we're going to move on to room number 4. We'll come back to everybody. We'll go around twice. So group number 4 is the Other Ideas group. So this is Dominic, Jim, Josh, Mark, and Tony.
Yeah, we didn't decide on exactly what question, so we've got a couple of different things. We'll start
with one and we'll come around for the second one.
Let's start with this, because I don't know that this has been addressed yet. Can you address some of your direct competition in this technology space, Jim, and then what your exit strategy looks like?
Sure. So direct competition, probably the biggest one are a series of companies not unlike AppArmor, Crisis Go. There's probably 10 or 12 of them that speed up someone contacting first responders and deal it with text messaging. And then, of course, lots of people spending money on door locks and cameras. And then if you have other questions on that, we'll dive in a little deeper. And my exit strategies would be, at some point in time, I think the technology is so massive in terms of what it can do, game changing, that will probably be absorbed by a larger company. And then at least that's what I want to do. So I wanted to follow up with the building that strategic partnerships even now that was spoken of. But I'd like to maybe make it through a Series A, you know what I mean? Get through a seed round and a Series A and grow. But that's, and hopefully our team, we have a team that could still be a part of that, even if we merged with someone else.
Okay.
If we could grow long enough and become the essence of the big company ourselves, that'd be great. But I don't know if that would ever happen.
Hey, we're going to go around one more time. I'm going to ask If each group could have someone different ask the question or make the suggestion on the second go round, just so that more people have a chance to make themselves heard. But I also should say that Jim's going to stick around after the meeting. So if you guys want to delve into things in more detail or ask Jim more questions, there'll be an opportunity after the formal meeting to do that. So let's go back to group number 1. This is introductions to industry players. So Alan, Brett, Daniel, Greg, Mark, Monique, and Trevor. How about it?
Brett, you were talking right at the end of our conversation there. Don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
No, because you mentioned the PTAs, but my whole point was when it comes to security, I teach in higher ed. So we already have alert systems that cover everything from tornadoes to active shooters, and there are protocols already in place. So you kind of have to approach it from the administrator's standpoint, but also from the parents. The parents are a very big influencer in all the different levels of education. So if you want to do it from the K-12 environment, PTAs or any kind of parent group, and also the administrators group and staff. Everybody always overlooks the staff. They have a big say in this. So they can apply pressure because it's going to be once you get to those long procedures, it has to be multi-layered anyway.
Brett, thank you. Matter of fact, we just added technology-wise the ability for students to have it because we want to move to the community, getting ready to test in a community college, so that if you set an alert, your students could know what area to avoid, or they could be able to show you vandalism or their eyes on the map the same way and have incident reporting. And when we did that, we added the parents for the K-12s for in case there was a need for them to know, not drive into something blindly, or know that we had a fire drill at school. Little Johnny said we had a fire at school. Anyway.
Cool, thank you. So let's move to strategic partnerships. This is group number 2, Catherine, Morgan, Rosalinda, Terry, the Blue Water Group, and Wayne.
I think go ahead.
Covered everything. The one thing that I did want to add is that, after all of the feedback that you got, is there an opportunity for you to create a focus group and kind of like dive into this a little bit deeper?
That's a good idea, Rosalinda.
Rosalinda, would my focus group be our internal staff, or be possibly made up more of mentors, or what? What's the best practices for creating that focus group?
Well, one of the things that I was thinking, and Terry and anybody else in the group, feel free to jump in, but even just taking the questions that we had in these breakout groups and bringing, SMEs for each of those categories in, and doing a little bit of a deeper dive into those questions.
I agree. And what I would do, Jim, is I would get people who are outside of the employment group, so you get a fresh look at this as well. And then the other thing that I might do is I would take the school that you have the best existing working relationship with, and then I would say, if I were to further implement this, who are all the other subcontractors that have to provide services so that my product works for you to your satisfaction? And so that could be local phone company or whoever you're getting to do either wirelessly or wireline services. It could be whatever it is, right? Any kind of hardware requirements. And then what you can do is you can speak to those people who are probably not going to be competitors of yours, but who are going to be benefiting as a result of you selling that product, because you're going to have higher degree of wireless traffic, higher degree of whatever it is, and they're going to have the same kind of interest as you.
Love it. Love it.
Cool, thank you. Good that you're loving things, Jim. Group number 3, best practices for referral marketing. So Brittany, Cindy, Jenny, and Tracy. Round 2.
Yeah, so I think Brittany covered a lot of what we talked about, but as we were kind of closing in, it took me all of the 65 minutes to remember the company that goes in and does the Identikids, right? Like they do the ID cards things, and you can like it's extra, it's an add-on. But that seems to me like a very natural referral relationship, right? Like they include you in their Identikid days, you include them in, you know, in pitches for your services. And I feel like it was two local people that created that. Anybody have, am I imagining things?
There was a local group that got merged with Raptor that identified visitors at school. I know they were based out of Raleigh, but I need to go back and look at who they were because I tried to identify.
It's part of that. It's like you can identify the kids with like you can have their picture taken for an ID card, and they run the visitor things in the it's the Identikid software that they have installed to sign in visitors at the school. Now, mind you, I mean, it's been a year since I've signed into the school, so.
But Jenny, that's great. I will do the research to look them up. And I'd love to hopefully maybe find out they have a presence in RTP.
Well, they're definitely an
Good
APAC.
stuff. All right. Last but absolutely not least, group number 4. So Dominic, Jim, Josh, Mark, and Tony.
I had an idea. It's pretty far out there, but in my personal experience, I only have like one push application that I try to keep on my phone, and that's through the weather. So when there's, storm coming, I don't mind getting that alert. And I think that the Amber alerts come through that. And so if the technology is available to push notifications only to a very, detailed location, like within the confines of a school, that could be of value. But again, this is a pretty far, reaching concept. It's just an initial thought to maybe explore.
Well, Mark, that's great. We have been approved for critical entitlements by Apple, which is the presidential alerts, Amber alerts. Our system has that already. So we're set up with that technology, but then to make it, if I understood what you're saying, we would make it not only to the people that had the app, but potentially based upon geolocation, that it could push it out to others that way. I will explore that. That's great. I want to explore that. That's a great idea.
Hey, thank you very much to everybody for the great questions and suggestions. As I said, Jim's going to stick around after the meeting, but now Dominic is going to run us through community announcements.
Thanks, George. Appreciate that, Jim. So I already announced in the comments doing community announcements. So if anybody has anything they'd like to share with the community, upcoming openings for grant applications, deadlines that are approaching that we should know about, or any other community resources or events that you have coming up, please share. I'll just reiterate what we always ask for. If you know anybody who would benefit from presenting or could potentially benefit from presenting at 1 Million Cups, we'd be glad to have an introduction. Just you pass that information along to any of our community organizers, and we'll reach out and invite those folks to come visit us at 1 Million Cups. We have any other announcements today, George, or anybody else in line?
Yeah, Brett wants to tell us about something. You can probably guess what.
Yep.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I'm Brett Chambers, and I host Brett's Open Mic at the Blue Note Grill, and it's a lot of fun. I think our first rule is actually have fun. And we're at the Blue Note Grill tonight, 7 to 9, barring tornadoes or any other weather catastrophe. And it's a lot of fun. That's all I can say we practice social distancing and masking, and we're still trying to be safe because even though, vaccines are out, not everybody has them. And last time I checked, people are still getting sick. So we're just trying to be safe, but still have fun.
I'll say I went out to Brett's Open Mic this past week, and it was a blast. And the musicians are very talented, staff's friendly, and I don't know if they have green beer or not, but we'll see.
I think we can arrange it. Yeah, But thank you for coming, Dominic. I was going to give you a shout out. And it was, you look like you were having a blast. So you adhered to rule number 1. So thank you.
Exactly. Jim saying no green in my IPA. I see him over there shaking his head vigorously. All right. Any other announcements, Jim?
Yeah, we got 2. Jim wants to talk about a CED event, which is pretty serious.
Sure.
Cindy's got one on a grant program, and Mark has, guess what, a fish fry.
All right.
So earlier in the call, Jay Bigelow was in the audience. He has tuned out, I guess. But if we're talking about startups, the CED Venture Connect conference is March 23rd to 25th, where your new friend Jim Boyte is one of the presenters, along with 3 companies from Wilmington, and many more. Now, unfortunately, this is a virtual event because of COVID, but nonetheless, it is an important event. So cednc.org is the website, March 23 through March 25, IT and life sciences. Thank you.
All righty. And let's see who else. So Cindy.
Yeah, hey, good morning, y'all. I don't know how many people are aware of LISC, LISC. They are, can't even tell you what that stands for right now. It's one that we follow here for doing grants. They just closed out for March, but they'll be doing it again in April. I'm going to drop that link down here for y'all. It's a good one to follow. They've done a lot of grants because of COVID. That's just to their FAQ page. The other one is, I don't know how many of y'all are aware that North Carolina did an R3 funding through the small business centers for 2020. That is supposedly going to be opening back up. So if you know any small businesses that are really struggling, that's a good one to follow as well. It's through the small business centers. If they do open back up, it'll be across the state, and many small businesses can go through them and get funding for anywhere from it started out as just consulting, but then it went into marketing. We did websites for companies through this, where the state was paying us to do the work for them. We did consulting, we did logos, we did any type of marketing that they were actually needing at the time, including retargeting and geofencing, with the grant money that they were given. But the grant money gets used in different areas depending on what your need is for. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And as soon as it opens up, I'll be sure to let y'all know. But because we don't have a date yet, it's still kind of in the, like, are they or are they not? I would just want to give y'all a heads up to be aware of that.
Thank you. By the way, LISC stands for Local Initiatives Support Corporation.
Yes, thank you.
Jump real quick. And then Mark.
Just there's 2 more fish fries. This one again is Southern Durham in the Parkwood section of Durham, right by RTP. Next Friday is going to be again Immaculate Conception, downtown Durham, off of the Durham Freeway, Chapel Hill Street.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark. All right. If we don't have any other announcements, we'll.
I have one. I just want to say next week. So next week, Adrian Garcia is going to be with us. He has a company called FinCom, and his product is called Karma Call, in which he pays, or Karma Call pays people to identify spam. So it's kind of a backwards concept. Really interesting. I have not seen the presentation, but I'm really looking forward to it. So Karma Call next week, 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning.
Nice. Thanks, George. All right. So this is the point in the meeting where George